What though? What do we know? And then what are we not supposed to know? Not supposed to know.
The roar you hear is 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 the roar you hear.
All right, boys and girls, buckos and buckets, welcome to Frothland. We are joined here today by Mr. Singh from New Zealand. Here, what's up?
Hello, welcome to my channel.
Come on, guys, it's not that funny.
Subscribe to Hissing Thoughts Gaming on YouTube, on Trovo and Anchor, and all good
So-
bookstores.
Yeah. Also, if you ever make the mistake of not subscribing, this guy will haunt your dreams
Yes,
forever.
I'll make you return to the scene of the accident.
How's Auckland, New Zealand?
Well, it's been an interesting year, hasn't it? 2020. If it wasn't for the COVID thing, which we've been dealing with pretty good, we would be all about the drought. So low water levels in the dams. We've had a dry summer. It's been a dry year. At the moment, a little bit of rain as we come into summer.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
Because I come from the
Land down
of
under.
water.
Yep.
No,
that's
we're
me.
on top.
That's me.
We're tops over here.
Tops or bottoms?
So yeah, we a lot of people, they make the mistake of thinking that Norway, like, it's because of the oil, but our biggest resource is actually, if you ask me, it's water.
Mm-hmm.
Water in terms of clean.
Yeah.
Clean water, drinking water, it's free, and it's also a great source of electricity. We have a lot of fish here, but the fish is also in the water. But most of the fish is in the salt water, and you can't really drink salt water. It's not good for you. So we're not used to droughts over here. It happens sometimes. We have dry seasons, but it's like rain usually comes. It's not I don't think I've ever experienced like it being a situation where we have to ration water.
I've experienced it twice in Auckland. One, the first year that I moved here, they were in a drought, and that lasted a couple of years. And as a result of that, they put in a pipeline down to the Waikato River, which is the next big city down south, more of a rural area. And that was meant to take care of our problems. And it hasn't, because the Auckland population, that was 1994, 93, 94, 95 maybe, has exponentially grown like humans do and cities do. And they didn't put in more pipelines. And they didn't manage the water very well. So that's our problem now.
Sounds to me the problem is that people were putting too many pipes in. Don't have prophylactics over there?
No, we take in migrants
and exponential.
We're very open. Our legs are very open to letting people in.
With legs wide open.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about the way that local government's set up and central government, they need ratepayers and taxpayers. If you don't have that, you can't grow. So, we're a small country. We're 4 million people or whatever it is.
Yeah, we're like 5 over here.
Just in your city, though, aren't you?
Oh, no. The capital city here, Oslo?
Yes, I've heard of it.
I think now I'm not going to like Jason. He was a great guest because he did the Google thing for me. He was like a guest, a co-host, and an assistant.
Oh, so you're saying he would be like looking up right now?
Yeah, because if I do it, if I start hitting the keyboard and everything, it's going to rape.
Hey Siri, where's Oslo? Yep, correct, Norway. 17,203 kilometers away from Auckland, New Zealand. Not the old
How many
Sealand, the
people?
new Sealand.
700,000 people, right? Give or take.
Hey, Siri, how many people in Oslo? This is a test.
Population of Oslo is 693,491.
It's a bit embarrassing for you. You're completely wrong.
I said 700,000.
That was wrong.
That's ballpark. Anyway, it was
Okay. I didn't realize we had ballparks. We
Listen,
like
counted.
Texas. They've got
No.
ballparks.
No. I counted the illegals. That's
Yeah. Fair enough. How did you count them, by the way?
I have my methods.
Your intelligence service would really like to know.
I'm a licensed drone pilot.
What about the underground illegals?
It's the tundra doesn't permit underground activity up here.
And the whaling ships.
Yeah, I was actually I was looking for a way to. This is kind of not, and also it is related to what we're talking about. Like yesterday, I was trying to figure out something about like how to divide my time during the day. So I just wanted to look at a watch, a clock, like a regular, what would you call it, a wheel of time, with the
Timekeeping device. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, an archaic timekeeping device. Yes.
Yeah, like the disc with the arms. Because I'm a visual person, and that
Analog.
is yes. So I
had
went
to
on
look that
my
up.
amazing Galaxy Note 4. Hate this thing. I went on that and I pressed world clock, thinking, when you open the clock, you will see a clock. No, it showed me a globe.
Really?
And so, yeah, and it made me just try to, check what's the time. Yeah, that's Apple. He's showing me his iPhone.
You're in there, You're in there, buddy. 8:58 a.m. Oh,
Is it?
you'll have to. Yeah, you'll probably have to edit that out because now I've given your time away. It's not going to be relevant.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, so I opened that, and then I saw where Auckland is. Because I actually, in my head, for some reason, I thought New Zealand was north of Australia. So I was like, why isn't Auckland on the map? Why doesn't that city pop up? But then I was like, oh, it's way down south. It is. Like growing up, they would say that Australia is on the other side of the world or China. But I think more accurately, I think we're bipolar.
Yes.
Norway and New Zealand.
Probably are actually, because so the British call us the Antipodes, right? So that is the other side of the world. You are not too far from the UK where you are there, so it would be the same. I think it's interesting when
we used to row there.
Yes. That's how I came to be here today.
Because we took pity to the nuns because they were barren. No, not barren, but they were
lonely.
They were very lonely.
Yeah,
and
even nuns need some.
Monks,
they can't have none loving. They need some loving.
The monks, they didn't know how to take the first step.
Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to a PUBG story.
Oh, we don't have to take it there. And so, yeah, there's a lot of similarities and between our countries, and I think
you're right about the population. I didn't know that.
Because you're kind of close to the South Pole.
Yep.
How much are you? Can you baby check? Because I happen to know that Norway is one of the countries that has authority in the Antarctic.
Antarctic?
Yes.
So you want to know, like, our base camp, our Scotty?
Yeah. Are you a part of that?
Yeah.
Are you one of the, how many countries? Like 7 countries, I think.
Antarctic, it'll be treaty or something. Treaty, yeah. Treaty.
Fun fact,
Countries.
Norway's tallest mountain if you count the territories that we control, is actually in the Antarctic.
So we've got the Antarctic Treaty was signed in Washington on December the 1st, 1959, by the 12 nations that had been active during the, I don't even know what that is, Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Norway, South Africa, United Kingdom, mate, United States, and the USSR.
Oh, yes.
Awesome accents. That's my talent.
USSR. Yes.
Could you even tell when I was speaking there which was my natural accent?
No.
But yeah, we
It's
have a
just too
200
good,
mile. Wait, I got to get my miles and kilometers. New Zealand's ocean economic exclusive zone.
That's killing me, by the way. Temperatures and
Siri doesn't know. We've got an,
measurements.
New,
57% of our listeners are in the States, so that's why we're doing this conversion all the time. And it's
yes.
I don't get it. Why can't I just use the metric system? It's so much better.
Yeah, our exclusive economic zone, which is basically stretching out in the water, it's 15 times the size of our landmass. So up to 200 nautical miles offshore. That's how far. It's probably, in terms of that versus our landmass, the biggest. But they did discover in recent times that New Zealand might actually be bigger than Australia, which is a continent or a very big island.
What do you mean, like
full of bananas? There is a lot of landmass not that far under the ocean, which with sea levels and so on, it could be used as a legally recognized entity to expand our territory, because New Zealand is a lot bigger than you're seeing at the moment.
Oh, so you guys are growers.
What's topical with the likes of China creating, whole islands in the sea and all that sort of stuff. We don't have to do it. It exists.
It's there under the fupa.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
It's pretty big. Pretty big. Don't like to skite about it, but, our I don't even know how to pronounce this word, archipelago, group of islands. It's, people think of just 2 islands or 3 islands, but there's probably, it's like Japan. There's 100 million of them. There's quite a lot, and it stretches. If you put it onto Europe, all the way up and all the way down. Not little at all.
So one of
long and slim.
Talking about territories, because Norway has one of the longest coastlines. You're probably
How long is
in
it?
that category as well. Well, it's very long.
Pretty big,
because of all the fjords.
Yeah, the fjords.
And
I've heard about the fjords.
It's like if you have one of those, we call them stair trolls. You know what I'm talking about?
Stair trolls?
Those springs that you put on the top of the stairs and it sort of walks down on its own. That's
Slinkies.
toy.
Slinkies.
Yeah.
I think it's an
We call them
American
stair
thing.
trolls.
Stair trolls.
Yes.
Wow.
And you know those silver metallic beetles that like to live under, the stones that you put on your lawn, so you have stepping stones.
Yes. And
then if you lift one up, you will have these beetles.
Slaters. Slaters? Are they sort of?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There is
Slater beetle.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if it's a beetle actually, but it has a lot of legs.
It might just be.
And it kind of looks like
centipede.
No. It kind of looks like those.
Does it look like this?
Yes.
Yeah, viewers. Just look at your screen now. You'll see the slaters.
I'm not recording video.
What kind of a YouTube channel is this?
Oh, it's not. It's a podcast available on all platforms.
Oh, okay. So
all relevant platforms.
So like old school radio.
Yes, and but eventually I will do a video. I will do video as well eventually.
Can people like and subscribe, just like YouTube?
You know what we call those guys though?
Slaters.
No, we call them wrinkly trolls
Wrinkly trolls. Oh my god, I love Norway. Just trolls.
or wrinkle.
What do you call internet trolls?
Uh, what you mean?
You know, the trolls on the internet.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, what do you call
Just
them?
usually internet trolls.
Oh,
Or
you don't have a fancy. Like China have their 50 centers. They're paid by the government to troll.
Personally, I just name them by their IP address and they go away. Kind of like that guy. If you speak his name backwards, he goes away. Who's that? You remember?
From the horror
From
movie?
the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I can't. Don't want to say it, mate. I don't want to say it. No. Don't. Don't say Candyman.
Okay, so one of the territories we actually have control over here, it's not here.
Beetlejuice. Wait, which one are you thinking of? I know I've interrupted you, but it's important.
I'm thinking about the most. It's a very bad place to be. If you wake up on a deserted island, this is the last island you want to wake up in.
Guantanamo, Cuba.
No.
Ah.
Because that has people at least. At least you have some people undressing you, you know? You wake up on the Bouvet Island, which is the one landmass it's the most remote landmass because it's the furthest away from any other landmass.
Sorry, I'm just imagining our mutual friend Puffin Chick would find that paradise. Happy Thanksgiving.
She should go for Thanksgiving. Yeah, she was like, we played with her PUBG Mobile. We played that earlier today, and she was like, I'm going to have the best Thanksgiving ever. And I was thinking, oh, she's finally getting together with family. And she was like, yeah, my sister is kind of the boss of the holidays. And she was like, you don't have to come here. And so I'm not going. And all my friends think I'm going. And I'm letting them think that. So I can stay at home alone, you know, in my tub.
Yeah,
dogs.
I can relate. Like a staycation for me, I love the idea of it. I can just stay home and play PUBG Mobile and COD Mobile and hang out with family and not have to deal with driving, all that sort of stuff.
So about this island, I just I need to say this because it's the most remote island in the world. You know,
What's it called?
about the Bouvet Island.
Bouvet?
Bouvet.
Yeah, Bouvet.
And it's about 1,100 miles north of the Antarctica, 1,200 miles east of the South Sandwich Islands.
Oh, okay, so not near Norway at all.
90 miles south of Gough Island and 1,600 miles southwest of the coast of South Africa.
Let me look this up. Bouvet, Bouvet Island. There we go. Subantarctic.
So it has it's 19 square miles or 49 square kilometers, and 93% of it is covered by glacier.
It sounds
And
delicious.
at the center of the island is an ice-filled crater of an inactive volcano.
So begs the question, why? There's to be some strategic
whaling.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
That's where,
yeah.
So whaling before the oil, and this is kind of ironic because oil was, one of the products from the whale was the oil.
It's almost directly across. If you went down under the globe, across Antarctica, it's on the other side. Not quite as far out as New Zealand is, but yeah, it looks reasonably close.
Yeah, so it's kind of mini Norway in that sense because, like we were saying, we're on the opposite side of each other on the globe, pretty much.
The sea knows no distance. Yeah.
Then we also have this mini situation going over here. It's like a babushka doll in a way of geography. Super interesting for the listeners, probably. And so, the thing about this island is the territory itself, the island itself, is not that big, right?
No.
And so what the whalers used to do, they used to go there with the whales and then make the oil and eat whale meat and stuff. And then they would go back, get more whale until they had the ship filled with product, and then bring it all the way up to Norway. Kind of a tough job. And then after that, because that sort of ended, after a while, that sort of ended, stopped the whaling.
Really?
Yeah, it was like internationally frowned upon, I think.
You guys still
That's what
whale
happened.
though?
Oh yeah, but only the minke whale, because the
Oh.
minke whale is a pest. It
It's a troublemaker.
it's a troublemaker. They exponential growth,
Yeah,
just
like-
like New Zealanders,
Like like ducks.
like ducks, ducks and
We-
New Zealanders.
We have duck shooting season here. Yeah, duck shooting. It's the only time I'm allowed to shoot ducks is when they say, "Yep, you can go for it."
Oh,
Cull their
there are
numbers.
Too many.
Ducks
Do
are
you guys
terrible,
think that-
terrible parents. I got to say, where I work, we
Oh, they
have
don't
some lakes, and you watch them. All the cute little ducklings come out, and there's 12 ducklings to each couple, each parenting duck unit, and it's amazing. Oh, it's so cute. Every day, one less duckling until they just have like one duckling. It's amazing that they need a duck hunting season with those odds. Basically, they're terrible parents.
I think they may have gotten the concept of evolution the wrong. There might be a confusion in the duck community
Yeah.
as to what, because the strongest survive, and then they're like, okay, we need to make sure we have only one survivor, and that's how evolution works. It's not.
It's like a version of Hunger Games, basically.
And do you know
Send your
how we were
tributes
taught?
to fight the eels and the cats, the feral cats.
Do you know how
And
we
the
were taught
hawks.
about- Speaking of evolution, you know how we were taught that when we make babies, right, and the sperm, millions of them,
I've done this
Swim.
3 times in my life, so I consider myself to be an expert.
an expert.
Expert,
Nice
yeah,
one.
yeah. See what you did there?
You're an egg sperm. Nice. And so what happens, right, is that we're told in school, at least I was growing up, I was told that, the fastest, strongest sperm
Mm.
will reach the egg.
Mm.
So it's the best of the best. Of all these millions, that's the best of the best.
Yes,
If
and
you think about it, that means, considering, I'm not out to offend anyone, but there are a lot of idiots out there. Okay, there are a lot of people out there, and if you consider that this person was the best of the best at one point,
yes,
you're like, what? But the thing is, and it's not that long ago I learned, probably like last year or something, that's not the case. It's not the best one. Because, Finding Nemo,
Mm.
how they hook up with the turtle, or the tortoise.
yeah. Finding Nemo,
Sea turtle.
another story about terrible parents. Yeah,
Oh yeah. So they catch this stream, right? And they're carried by the stream. That's kind of how it works.
Mm.
That's kind of how it works.
Mm.
And on the way there to the egg, the way the female is constructed, there are so many obstacles, and so you it's like falling into a river, right? A wild river. You hit the rock. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest or the fastest. If you knock the fuck out, you're not going to get there. So it's kind of random.
I see
It's
it
actually kind of random.
a bit like on the idiot side of things. To you coin PUBG Mobile again is an analogy or a eulogy? I don't know, whatever the word is. But you can be pretty good at PUBG just by camping for most of the game, and then sometimes you get lucky by basically winning through camping. And you're not the best player. You've just let all that good players kill themselves first, basically, and you get the chicken dinner.
Shh, don't tell people what I do.
Sorry, giving away our clan tactics.
No, but it's funny you should mention that because that happens as well.
How we got to
Like
crown. Yep.
if a different male has sent these troops in before you, they are camping for
Mm-hmm.
days.
Mm-hmm.
For days they're in there. They can live for like a week or two.
Yeah, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but
Don't finish that. I don't want to edit.
I also hate
Oh,
editing.
Kanye.
I thought you were an R18. Come on.
Kanye West, I think he got 70 or 60,000 votes this year.
That's a city
Good
right there. Small city.
Yeah, town.
Now,
I don't know.
got my dog sitting with me and she keeps farting. I wonder if she's trying to tell me something.
But if you consider this, a lot of his friends are rappers.
Hmm.
And a lot of rappers, they have a lot of aliases.
Yes.
So it
And
might have just been 10,000 votes, but they have 6 names.
yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised that Trump hasn't called him out. Yeah, but so on the Bouvet Island, after the whaling, it was used as there's been a weather station there, research,
Mm.
stuff like that. But the thing about it is, when you go there, the only place you can, reach the shore and, embark the land, whatever you call it, you go to land from the boat.
Yeah, you disembark or embark.
Disembark. You embark on the boat and disembark onto land. Not sure. But anyways, it is where all the what are they called? Elephant seals, I think. All the elephant seals are. And
Just lying there gagging for it.
Those guys, they weigh fur seal. Wait, the southern elephant seal. They're massive, okay? And what I didn't know is, do you know how fast they can move?
I'm imagining an angry hippo.
They have no legs. They have the what you call those luffers or something?
Flippers?
The arm. Yeah, that's what they have. Basically.
I forgot you're not YouTube. You can't see what I'm doing. Viewers, I'm smacking my hands together like a seal does. But imagine a very corpulent seal, one that looks like an elephant.
Oh, there's.
Imagine if an elephant was a seal and it had flappy things for arms.
But I think the males, they can reach like 1,000 kilograms, like 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
But they're
okay,
massive,
so they're a car basically.
And they're just laying there.
They're a ton.
So they look very docile, but the males have like 90% of their weight is their testicles. It's just testosterone.
Oof.
And so they're super aggressive, and they can chase you down. They can fucking chase you down.
Fucking chase you down. There we go. Horny ass.
And if you're hit by 1,000 kilograms moving at, I don't know, 40 kilometers an hour or something, crazy fast.
I'm just imagining 500 kilograms of sperm coming your way. That's terrifying.
Tsunami much? So yeah. So imagine, to me, this, I don't know, why don't it should be a prison.
Well, a fun fact about
and it should be a prison. Lord of the Flies, that story where you have this island and all these kids are basically they're running. They have to run it on their own.
And they're trying to get the ring back to the lava place with Gollum.
Yeah, and the fat kid.
Interesting fact about Bouvet. It used to be a training ground for aliens. They would set up cage fights with early whalers.
Whalers and elephant seals.
Yeah, they were predators.
That was the first intergalactic MMA fight.
Yeah, it's true story. I saw a documentary on it a few years ago.
A documentary.
Yep, and they burrow down. It's kind of like there's at the heart of it, underground, there's like this pyramid scheme going on.
These files are classified.
The the mainstream media don't want you to know about it,
They don't.
but there is a documentary.
making our frogs gay.
You can look it up. I think it's called something like Predator versus Alien, something like that.
Well, that's interesting. But I thought to me, it sounds like the ideal prison. Because one thing, you can't have much infighting between the prisoners because they will have to depend on each other to survive. You know, you got the glacier,
you got the elephant
glacier,
seals.
you got the climate. It's one of the most windiest places on Earth. Okay.
So
The
even
climate
worse
is
than
awful.
Wellington, which is our
Awful.
capital city.
I think 50 Fahrenheit is the warmest it gets.
What's it in Celsius degrees?
10.
That's
10.
yeah. That's it's a bit on the colder side for sure.
So they would suffer, and you want prisoners to suffer, and also because it's not supposed to be fun in prison, right? And so, and then you have penguins,
It depends
you have
which
elephant seals,
political system
and
you
fur
have.
seals. So they can make clothes out of the fur seals. You know,
Yes.
I don't think maybe it's not a good idea to hunt the elephant seals, but the penguins they can probably.
Well, what are these prisoners done first? Like, I want to know punitively in my mind how much I want them to suffer, or is there a chance that some of them could be innocent but they've been found guilty? In which case,
no, I would send them there.
Okay.
Um,
Sort of like Russia, Siberia.
I would send the slow walkers and people who believe they're supposed to stand next to each other on escalators.
Who won't wear their masks and cough over other people.
Evildoers and such.
Yes, we're getting biblical
Yeah,
now. What?
Oh, yeah, terrorists. I would send
Tourists.
there. Yeah.
I'd send tourists there. I when we're talking about population control and stuff, I'm happy for people like certain political leaders around the other side of the world that want to portray us as having concentration camps and all that sort of stuff. I'm happy for that information to be out there. Please do not come to New Zealand. It's a horrible place. You don't want to be here. It's got elephant seals.
Yes.
They come up from Antarctica.
Like a deterrent.
And penguins. Forget them. The penguins. Oh, they're the little assholes. They think they're. Sorry, you have to edit that out. They're little troublemakers. They are.
Oh no. Penguins are evil.
Yes.
Especially the females. You know why? You know what they do?
Yeah, they trick the men's.
No. Well, all females do that. But the penguin mother or female, whatever you call that, penguin.
She likes to march, doesn't she? I think I've seen this documentary as well.
They go to the edge of the cliff, where they're supposed to dive in to get the fish. But in the waters, there might be sharks.
Or tiger seals, leopard seals.
There might be sharks or other predators, right? And so what they do is they're like, hey, girlfriend, how about you take a gander over there and look over the edge and see if you can see any predators. And then, little Miss Swanson over here, she leans over, and then her best friend just pushes her into the water to see if she's eaten.
That'd be a great meme.
If she's eaten, they might push a couple of others in there, basically feeding the sharks. And while the sharks are eating, they go and they fish.
Yes.
And so a lot of mothers never return.
Yes.
And the ones that do return, do you think they give the others fish? No.
Well, they got their man's waiting with the egg on his little feet flippery things, and if they don't return, dog, do you need to go out? Really do smell. But yeah, if anyone wants to watch that documentary, not my dog, that's called March of the Predators.
March of the Predators.
Yeah, it's an alien tie-in. And I don't want to spoiler alert it.
When you think about it, Popper's Jim Carrey, Popper's Penguins. I think they were all male, just trying to escape. And they did.
Again, we've been really hitting on the theme of
This
bad
to
bad
me,
parenting. This podcast.
listen, this to me just confirms yet again that Jim Carrey is a hero.
Agree.
Thank you, Jim. I don't know how we ended up there, but thank you.
Is he a good parent? I don't know.
Apparently, like he's well, he has moved on from like I think what happened to him was something caused some sort of depression,
Weak sperm. Yes. Okay.
and then he picked up painting,
Hmm.
and he disappeared from media for a while.
Hmm.
And then he came back with a new perspective, and it's very inspiring what he's been saying about life and how to approach it.
It's good. That's what
And
we like to see in our more mature years, isn't it? Our midlife cryings.
yes, yeah, you guys might not know this. I don't know if I said it while I was recording, but we're recording this through cleanfeed.net for free. Sponsor me, please. We're recording this through cleanfeed, and you have to name the recording. And so I thought I was doing that, but I actually named Hissing Here Midlife Crimes. And then I thought that's a good band name.
Totally appropriate. Yeah.
And that's also how we started, kind of started. How this kind of started. This is kind of the origin of this podcast. Is the podcast we had, or vodcast, because it was video.
There we go. There it
Two
is.
middle-aged men trying to understand technology. And what we did was we went live on Instagram together, and then we
Dual
posted the
live
recording of
stream.
that.
We were the first people in the world to do this.
Pioneers.
It was really technically pushing. Podcasting, live streaming wasn't a thing done at the time, certainly not by video. But we had a
pushing
Christmas special.
barriers.
Yeah.
Like we were actually, you know how people went to the frontier? We went to the frontier and we started to push it, to bend it further out.
And
sort of causing a shift in the time-space continuum.
It's interesting because that podcast actually became PUBG Mobile. You remember this?
Yes.
We were. Yes. It wasn't just us. There was a bunch of friends we were trying to keep in touch with. We couldn't get them onto the podcast, and you came up with the idea of PUBG, but we actually turned that, because it's got audio on it, into our podcast. The last proper podcast we had of two middle-aged men trying to understand technology was us running around trying to kill teenagers.
What's up? What's up, players?
What's up?
Welcome to another episode of Two Middle-Aged Men Trying to Understand Gaming and our Mexican friend from Beyond the Wall.
Right, I'm gonna go, guys. Those guys get married. You're the leader.
Why is there an audio?
And
Yes.
and 6,000 PUBG videos later, that's what it is. It's we're still podcasting. It's just on a computer game platform.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how this circle works, because I went from basically hijacking our podcast channel.
Yes, you did.
For
did.
Mobile.
You dick. Spamming it with
to starting a podcast.
Yes, you did.
First, you don't succeed. You know what they say. But yeah, in the future, I'm hoping to do more of these episodes. By now, Jason should be out. That episode should be out.
Oh, can I look it up now? Can I? Let's have a look.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking to the listeners.
Oh, right. I got to pretend that like it's
get weird.
The future.
Because yeah, I
am in the future. I'm a day ahead.
I'm going to have, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of this, and then on the other series I'm working on, the stories there, probably 3 of those.
This will probably be the most watched one, though, right? What have we got?
It's
We've got
not going to be watched.
Elephant Well,
They listen.
I've got OBS running, so you know.
Oh, oh, you do.
Yeah, I do.
I'm not wearing makeup.
ABCs, man.
It makes me look like
You look like a homeless man during COVID.
Well, you did say I could have dressed up for you, wear a tie or something.
Oh, I gotta say,
Could
you know, COVID's been an
you guys-
opportunity for a lot of people.
Hey,
You've
hey.
come out the stronger.
You're the guy missing out here because you know what? I would have put on tassels for you, and now you don't get to see the tassels.
I've seen enough video of you.
No tassels for you. No, there will be no tassels.
No soup.
So yeah, no milk today either.
No, and wait for this pivot. Just to give me 20 seconds. I just need to do something with my dog before the dog happens to my floor. 1 second.
I thought you guys did that with sheep. He didn't hear that, guys. He's going to do something with his dog. He's just letting the dog out so the dog can have a tinkle or a poop. Put a little fertilizer in the garden, which reminds me.
Back.
That reminds me what I was going to ask you about in terms of the whole water situation you got going on over
I
there.
think you're gonna ask me about how I tell my dog to go toilet.
What did you do to your dog?
You say "gao pi," which in Chinese it sounds like "go pee," right? "Gao pi." It actually means in Chinese dog fart. So, or it's slang for an idiot, which links us back to the strongest of the idiots. But
the sperm.
The sperm, yes, we are the strongest of the idiots, and biologically, it's an impressive thing when we think about how far we've come, and we are the representatives of a long, long line of people, and we intermingle in bits. I've got some of the Scandinavian blood from both sides of my families, and then probably the Mongolian horde before that. I don't know how this works.
What do you think? Like you're saying, your bloodline, okay? If you take it all back.
They're all idiots,
early
yes.
man stage.
Yeah.
Early man stage,
Yeah.
We have fire, okay?
Yeah.
We have some words like fire. Probably talk like that.
Yep.
What do you think? Because the standards, beauty standards, all these ratings we put on each other for valuing others.
Yep.
In terms of back then, but now,
big butts.
if
I
the
don't think
guy's
I don't think anything's changed. Big butts.
Everybody has a funny friend who's in every other aspect of his life is probably useless. And he's probably the funniest when he doesn't know.
Yes.
Everybody has that friend.
Yes.
And we value that person. That person adds value to our lives.
Are you saying that's who I am? Or?
No, what I'm saying is that back then, that would probably not be the case. If you have all these saber-toothed tigers, you have enemy tribes,
True survival of the fittest camper is what you had back then. Actually, not much has changed. Yeah, it's PUBG all over again.
Yes. Like CrossFit back then,
Yeah.
that was just just if you were cross-eyed and fighting.
Well, and you would think twice about fighting, certainly within your own species.
Oh yeah, I think actually, I think it took a while before wars. You probably had, like they say that back in the day, in this stage, even after fire, they say that we were more like primates, and the females, they would reproduce like the animals do. So they will have multiple partners, and you could, like, the guy didn't really have a say. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but my question is, what do you think your ancestor, who the one who the first to make fire, if he met you, What would he think about you? What do you think? Put yourself in his.
He'd feel a
mind.
little bit superior because his brain's bigger.
His
We
brain's
know
bigger?
that much. Our brains have gotten smaller because we don't use half the shit that we needed to back then. We live very
It's probably shorter.
pampered
Though.
lives.
Has to be shorter.
Not necessarily. I don't know.
Oh yes. Yeah, come on.
I don't know. Maybe they were tall
Just
back
50
then.
years ago, people
Well-
were, people your size were paraded around the world.
But well, even now it's getting shorter again as well. I mean, there's
Are we
an
though?
evolutionary strength to being as small as possible.
There is.
Yeah.
But
The
I
tall
don't think
people don't tend to live as long. Just saying.
Hmm.
I mean, look at Andre the Giant.
Well, he wasn't just tall though.
He was a giant, but not that big.
Yeah.
You mean not that much
He
bigger
had
than
the
us, right?
syndrome. He had a syndrome.
Yeah, it was obesity. He just ate too much.
No, growth. He had too much human growth hormone.
Oh.
And same with Waldo. Oh, Wadlow.
Where's
Robert
Waldo?
Wadlow. No, Robert Wadlow, the tallest man of
Oh
all
yeah,
time.
James Bond.
No,
Ah,
British fella.
different
He
guy.
died from an infection in his foot.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's something to worry about back in the old days, isn't it? There's no antibiotics. In fact, we're probably headed that way with the drug. Everyone worries about something like COVID, but actually, it's the drug-resistant bacteria that's probably going to kill us. We didn't heed the warnings of the guy who invented penicillin, or was attributed to having invented it. Not that he did actually. Just found the mold.
Yeah, well, that was actually an accident, though.
Yeah.
They left.
It was messy.
They came back.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Don't clean your rooms, kids. You never know what you'll discover. Mold,
and,
mostly.
Do you have Antabus over there?
Antabus?
Antabus.
Spell it?
Antabus.
Okay, what is it? Is it mold?
No, it's a medicine. It was originally they were trying to make.
Oh, it sounds like a brand name.
They were trying to make an antibiotic, and then by accident they discovered that if you ingest it after drinking, you convulse.
Oh,
so they
chronic alcoholism. I see.
Yeah, so they used it to give it to alcoholics, and so if you take that, and if you have like 2 units of alcohol, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're going to vomit for hours.
No, I mean I've unfortunately I've worked with alcoholics. Just horrible to see and deal with. But no, I wouldn't know myself because obviously I haven't gone to the chemist to pick any up yet.
Yeah. Well, that was also an accident, I believe.
Yeah.
That was also an accident.
Yeah.
But in terms of the drought, because you took the dog out, and I have a confession to make. When you put your headset down on the table there, the last thing you said before you left the room was, I have to go and do something to my dog.
And then there's just this bang.
The first thing that came to mind was, I thought you guys did that to sheep over there.
Oh dear.
So I said that.
Well, where do you get the where do you think the term doggy style comes from?
New Zealand.
Didn't even have that many sheep.
I explained that you were taking the dog out for a tinkle or a poopsie.
Well, she was pacing, and it was better to just have a little pause there and get her the hell out of my room because she was farting, and again gulpy, so it's not pleasant. It's a distraction.
It's not pleasant, but when there's a drought, because you have grass and trees in New Zealand.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
We
have fjords.
Are you encouraged to pee in public during a drought to maintain the greenery?
By public, do you mean parks, or do you mean like your backyard?
Outside. Just outside.
Outside's fine.
Yeah, but anywhere, parks as well. Like you could technically, put it in a jug and carry that jug, so you don't have to expose your parts to the ducks in the park and the children, I guess.
Why not just drink it?
No. You
Really?
just
Oh.
well, you could do that to ration water, I guess, but I'm thinking because of all the minerals and stuff in the urine, it will probably enrich the soil.
So
And
what?
so I'm thinking if you don't have that system over there, we don't need it over here, but we have brains over here, so we come up with these ideas.
We have we got a tank. It's only 100 liters, but that's enough to help offset things a little bit. With summer coming in, we do have some plants that want watering, but also we take that, we capture the water from the shower, and that goes into the washing machine. My mother's been doing that for years, and not even in a drought
That's
situation. But they have tanks out in the country, so you have to preserve that. Here, the tanks, even back in the earlier drought that I talked about in '94,
And
let's
these
say
are
it
not
was.
armored vehicles, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, water
These
tanks.
tanks.
Yes, no, we don't have a military here. We just rely on the goodwill of strangers to leave us alone because we're so far away. And as I mentioned, we have concentration camps, so yeah, best and
It's called
elephant
school. It's where
sperm
we
whales.
send our children so they can concentrate.
Yes, I forgot what I was saying.
We were talking about. We went from sperm to urine now.
Ah,
Bodily
yes, yeah.
fluids.
I just like the symbolism, how everything just flows and ebbs and tires. It's like the sea knows no distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sea does not know any distance. That's one of your albums. You're in a band, right?
Yeah, I am the lead singer and the songwriter. Although I have some great collaborators on the musical side of things, which makes life a bit easier. And we're about 2 years behind on our album that was meant to come out, dealing with, I guess, the mental illness side of life. We've got
So
some
are you
songs that
working
we haven't finished.
but
And you
these
can
days,
buy this album
there's
pre-order now on I don't know, where do you do that? Spotify? Should I put it on Spotify?
yeah, you should probably put it on
Like
Spotify.
and
'cause then you
subscribe.
get money.
By the
for
time
what you
this comes
play.
out, Shades in a Dark Room, we're on Bandcamp. I mean, you can see our stuff. I'm probably more famous actually for doing a PUBG song. More famous for that because I didn't actually sing on it. I just sampled game sounds and in a 2-hour exercise created something that is actually probably my biggest YouTube video so far.
Well, we can certainly introduce our listeners to that song. But speaking of YouTube, 5 years ago, you were on your bicycle, and
Still am
'cause you
today.
were- not right now. You're in a chair right now.
Okay. Well, by the time
can you do
someone listening to
this?
this, yes. Sorry, interrupting again.
Yeah, but this is because we both have done some YouTube in the past, and
Yeah.
you still do.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, this has almost 50,000 views now.
Whoa.
Pretty good. Yeah, 49,000. Your
It's-
second most popular video has
It's actually-
2,900.
That's
which
up there
you
with
put in a
Enemies Ahead,
kayak
actually.
and a pool.
Ah.
Yeah. And then your third most popular video is Relax and Try Not to Pee Challenge.
Yes, that one
which
is a
brings us
surprise
back
little
to
hit.
Bodily fluids.
That is a surprise hit, that one. I had someone
Question.
approach me and want to do something with that.
Question: the boat in the pool. Was it a pool of pee?
Was it what? Full of
A
pee.
pool. Yeah.
Full of pee.
Yes.
No.
What are your reservoirs for drought? It's just
That was back before we had the water issues. The pool will not be up this summer, which will be the first summer we have. I'm a commuting cyclist. I get
never say
home.
never. If you collect enough pee, you could still have a pool.
It's true. It's true. I could just have a cold shower though. Cold showers are fine.
Yeah.
Makes you feel
And
more
you
like
can
of a
actually
man,
drink
to
that
be
water.
honest.
You just get one of those life straws.
Or just open your mouth and let it fall in. The water, not the pee. Or either, I don't know, if you're sharing the shower.
So you were approached by who exactly for the Try Not to Pee challenge? What was that?
It's like
What
some
happened?
marketing thing. Someone was representing someone else and they liked the idea of... Actually, it wasn't the Try Not to pee challenge. It was the try not to yawn. That's the one I'm thinking of. It was all tied in with the same thing. It was just a riff on the same thing. Yeah. Or was it the pee? I can't remember.
Because I was thinking like adult diapers, and you would be like the face for adult diapers. Inadvertently so, because you're thinking, oh yeah, you want to use some of my footage? Oh, that's great. And they're like, yeah, it's really great. And then all of a sudden you see your face all over the place for adult diapers.
Well, I did have a tooth extracted just after my birthday last month, and you know who else is missing teeth? Old people. So
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah.
There is that. So the next thing is the diapers.
Yeah, probably.
You'll use like if there's a
It's good enough for
quarantine
astronauts.
situation. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again for you, but in a way I am, because then we get more time together. But if there's if there's another situation like that, because at home you're at home, and nobody is coming to visit. So how about this? Adult diapers. No more toilet paper. Because toilet paper is like, that was like an issue. We were running out of
Oh
toilet paper
yeah,
in the
hell
stores and
yeah.
stuff.
That was
And so
insane.
I think one of the issues there might be that, people are underusing the adult diapers.
Or if you're talking about, going to the toilet in public places, and just you see how the dogs do it, just crouch and spread your
cheeks. Is there a way? Is there a way? Because I was thinking about the drought and helping you out over there. You being a disabled country or whatever you call that stuff, and so I was thinking, is there a way to put something up for a vote, like officially, like make a suggestion to the authorities that they encourage citizens to collect their urine, and they can have like the reverse milkman. You have the pee man.
Oh, well.
Master of the urine verse.
Oh, there's your title. There's your title.
Genius level. Pee man. By the power of it. Oh my. Wow.
It's funny you say.
Skeletor in adult diapers because he wants to prevent the flow.
In China.
I'm thinking, wouldn't that be great though? And in terms of, at least over here, people are losing their jobs. And people probably need jobs in New Zealand as well. And collecting jugs of urine isn't that complicated,
No.
And even though you have a quarantine situation, you can still have this. You can still, they just leave the jug outside with the trash.
In a milk container.
Next to the mailbox.
In a milk container. Yeah.
And then,
just like my neighbors.
They put a fresh bottle there for you for the next time. And you just keep going. And then they just they collect all these bottles, put it in like these giant tanks, and they just go out into the park and just water the park.
Yeah, it's fertilizer.
Fertilizer and water.
They did this in China. It was called night soil. I can't remember how to say that in Chinese, but they had a person, a night soil man, who went around at night and collected the bottles, and they used it as a low quality fertilizer, basically. That's how bad things got.
When I was in Shanghai in 2007, I saw a guy he was wearing a very nice shirt, very nice shoes, but he was pushing a wheelbarrow. And I was like, what? And so I asked my friend, because I was visiting him there, because he was working there and living there. And he says, that's the poop guy.
Oh my God, it's still going?
His job, because a lot of the buildings there, still in 2007, a lot of the buildings, they didn't really have like a sanitation system. It was basically shafts. So you poop, right?
Yeah.
And it just falls out of the building.
How fucking medieval is this? Oh my God, I had no idea that it was actually not that long ago.
And the traffic was terrible, right? So he can't bring the lorry around. So what he does is he takes a fucking wheelbarrow, he fills it with poop, and then he walks it over to, wherever his car is parked. And that's his day. And then when the truck is full, he goes to the villages and they fertilize their crops.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Crazy
Well,
stuff.
it's not a
And they
crazy
were
system,
building,
but
they were building for the World Expo thing.
yeah.
They were building
Yeah.
at that time. And those buildings were, you weren't even, like, there were 20 million people living there at the time. And I came from here, and we already established that
Holy
now
shit.
there's 700,000 here. And I thought that was big. And I went there. So that was a shock. And the people working on the buildings, they made these makeshift little towns on the street. So they had stores, they had bars, everything just basically pallets, wooden pallets and some tarp. And that's his wife running the store. Then the husband, if he doesn't fall down from the building, you know. And the scaffoldry wasn't metal; it was bamboo, fucking boo in 2007. And
It's a
he
good
would come
material,
home
though.
and they would sleep there. They would sleep right there in the store, kind of.
And this guy was
And
dressed
every
up in like a
night,
suit, and
yeah, and every night, workers would fall down from the buildings because they were sleeping up there. And die.
oh,
Wow, now
wow,
that's a job. That's a job.
wow.
You can call yourself a working man, Then you can talk about, "Hey, yeah, isn't this a communist country? Why don't you? Where's the union? Where's the? I thought this was their thing. I don't know. I don't know much about politics, dude.
It's fascinating because my neighbors are originally from China. There's 3 generations living there. So there's the older one, obviously, but I don't know if they still do it. I haven't seen it for a while, but they had a collection of milk bottles outside where their washing line was, and my wife saw it one day. It's like, what is that? And I said, they're collecting milk bottles full of pee, basically. They'll be using it for their fertilizer because they've used old recycle bins and filled them with soil, and they've turned them into little gardens and stuff. So that's what they're doing. They've grown up. That's what you did. You used that stuff, didn't let it go to waste. So they could have probably saved on not having a bathroom. I guess that would have, or they're probably good in a drought.
It's funny how waste is sort of redefined, like what we consider waste and what we consider, useful, and what we value and what we don't value. It's kind of funny how that works.
Well, back to the public parks with the dogs. You've seen what they do with their waste and other dogs' waste.
Yeah, they do. I don't want to talk about it. I'm still traumatized.
Yeah, that's right. Demonetized just like that. Should be wearing my Joseph Caton t-shirt.
Yeah, shout out to Joe there. Yeah, so what we were, what I was actually going for here was this video that I discovered back in the day.
Sorry,
You didn't
I
tell me
interrupted
about
you.
it at the time. So this is you 5 years ago. You're on your commute, and I'm going to play parts of it, but you can tell me what happened up until the moment you say pull over.
So I'm going to start.
Is it-
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the backstory. So
okay.
as we've alluded to earlier, I am a commuting cyclist. I cycle 25 kilometers a day to work and back. So I have to mess with the Auckland traffic. We're not great drivers, like probably anywhere else. But I was within a couple of kilometers from home, maybe even less than that, and there's one of the hills there, and a van passes me, going reasonably fast, but that's again not unusual. Really wide on the road, and then they pull in, and they hit a motorcycle that's parked on the side of the road. And so, to my eye, that bike went up and flipped over basically and smashed back down. I initially thought there was a motorcyclist on it, that it was a biker parked on the side of the road, and
person,
we were dealing with
yeah.
something else. And that vehicle did not stop. And there's no way that they didn't know that they hadn't done that. So they have driven off. And at that point, I had a very old, very terrible quality, even at the time, helmet cam. I'd got it because I'd been hit by a bus, basically. So it's my evidence cam. It's
Like
another
your
story.
dash cam, really.
Yeah, and so I mean, quickly realized obviously that the bike was damaged, but there was no person involved. But this was a hit and run. Someone had basically caused an accident, and you're legally bound to stop, and they weren't doing that. So I was trying to stop them.
Yes, and quick caveat here: there's some amazing music here, but it's copyrighted. It's what was it, a Knight Rider theme?
It was the Knight Rider theme music. This video was one of the first videos I did for YouTube. I didn't really know what I was doing with the export and stuff. I put some text layer over a very terrible quality video, which I made even worse with my exporting. Didn't know, but as you say, it's one of my most successful videos so far, and only a few comments are about how terrible the quality is.
All right, so we start here. The chase.
Stop!
Wait. There he hits the bike.
Stop!
And you start chasing him.
Yep. I'm riding uphill.
Okay.
There we go. That's the Knight Rider music. It was pretty cool. I was gutted. I got a copyright, not a strike, but I got demonetized. So even though it's a successful video, I will never make any money out of that without re-editing it.
And so you chase him down.
Mm-hmm. For about easily a kilometer, I think. I think it's in real time there. I don't think I edited it. It goes on for a few minutes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I'm trying to find where you actually talk to the guy.
Yeah, so he
Terrible quality.
Yeah.
You're there now.
Yeah.
So now you're actually caught up to him because he parked. Darth Vader.
Yeah, I was shattered.
All the way back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no,
jumped too far.
yeah, you have. So this is me. I only caught the guy.
Hold on.
Yep.
We're going back to. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to where you actually confront him.
Yeah.
I found that now. He is. Oh.
HZ F50.
So pull in front of him, I think.
It's okay, get back there and do your duty, mate.
So
Dad
you
voice.
tell him to do his duty,
Yeah.
to go back.
Yeah.
And not only did you chase him
Yeah.
all the way there,
Yeah.
and use your dad voice,
Yeah.
but you actually chase him back to make sure.
Uphill as well, back uphill. To make sure he goes, because by that stage the owner of the motorbike, it was a lady, actually came out, because I mean, I'm pretty sure as I was even in the start chase, there were bystanders that had noticed and stuff. It was pretty noisy. I only caught this guy because he stopped to check his damage, so he knew he'd done wrong. I didn't know it was, let's say, a late teen or maybe early 20s. He looks young. Yeah, it's like his dad's van sort of thing, and it's a pretty risky move, especially, there could have been a confrontation. I pull in front of him to stop him go any further, make him know I've got a camera and his license plate. But that could have been a gang member. Who knows? And I'm a tall guy that can take care of himself, but I still don't need it could have been a really stupid thing, but
you know what?
It was pretty legendary.
That ban is kind of sus.
Yeah.
It is what Puff would call a raper ban.
Okay, well, maybe that's the dad that we've. I suspect the guy was on his cell phone, distracted because of how wide he went past me, and then swerving back in, which wouldn't surprise me. But he did go back. He didn't really have a choice at that stage, and I went back and kept the recording going to make sure they were exchanging stuff. I gave the lady my details and said I had a video footage, and that if she needed it or the insurance company needed it, I had it. And
Just to clarify, he wasn't single at the time, so this wasn't an elaborate ploy to pick this lady up.
well,
That would
motorcycle
be a
chicks
great
are hot,
story.
right? Right.
That's how I met my wife.
That's how I met your mother.
Yes.
Yes.
I made sure this guy hit her motorbike.
And yeah, I mean,
Local ruffian.
just around the corner from home, I shared that on my Facebook, I think, actually, before I put it on YouTube. But even the YouTube, there's a good mix of comments of something I'm an idiot, something I'm legendary.
Whose bike is it? I got video. I trust you're going to do the right thing.
Listen to that voice.
I'll give you my
Such a
details.
dad voice.
I got video.
You,
I got video.
remix it, someone. I have video.
I got video. You want my details?
Go back and do your duty. Ugh.
Who's biking?
Who fucking talks like that anyway? Go back and do your duty. Like, oh, what am I, an off-duty police officer?
I mean, not to take away from the fact that this is pretty badass.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Like chasing down a van, I don't care, with a bike.
Yeah.
And knowing how ridiculous people look with helmets on.
Yeah.
And that
Flew over helmets.
solution you had on top of that.
Yeah.
And you still speak with that authority. That is good job pulling that off. And you did. You did. Enemies. And then we have the PUBG Mobile song that you made. Also.
Yeah, it's interesting here you call out the ranking of the videos, because obviously I did a lot of collaborative projects.
This was
and
made
stuff.
a year ago, and it has the same amount of views as the Hit and Run Shakes.
Yeah. And it's probably got me my most gaming channel subscribers just through this song, I think.
Yeah. And so what happened was that in the game, you can do these
call outs, voice
call
commands.
outs, and there's also an announcer voice, and it was the same voice, I believe. And
Yep.
then at one update, they changed the voice.
Yes. The day after I released the song on YouTube, they changed it.
Yeah.
So to start with, it was archiving a pretty epic part of the phase of the game, because people missed that. They did bring it back later, but yeah, I tried to sample as much as I could from that game. It started. One of my teammates, a Kiwi kid, he was glitching out, and he was doing the enemies ahead thing, and it started making me think I could turn that into a song, and so I did. Back then, I was still feeling pretty creative and stuff. These days, I do the bare minimum basically, because I just don't have the energy. But yeah, even there's like a flanger effect through it, and that's actually the airplane when you're on it before you jump out for the battle royale. Just little things like that I don't think most people would notice. But that's, as I say, other than the drum beat, it's all in-game sounds.
And you want the copyright strike me, right?
No,
Right?
no, I give you permission here to.
I have permission.
Let's go!
That's the plane sound there. Yeah.
Enemies! Enemies ahead!
I know the words. I know them by heart.
It's got some of our old friends in it. It's got Nova in it.
Ahead.
Enemies, get to the safe zone! Enemies, get to the safe zone! Enemies, get to the
Just that little lisp that she's got. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Enemies, help! Enemies,
Help!
I like how we're both vibing to this. Enemies ahead.
It has a vibe.
It does. Yeah.
Search for vehicles. Go!
It's the bridge.
Search for vehicles. Get in the car. Enemies ahead. Enemies. Enemies.
So
Enemies.
your band,
Enemies ahead.
Shades in the Dark Room,
Enemies.
Yeah.
Enemies.
great name.
Enemies. Enemies ahead.
You
Voice chat.
you had a live concert
Hmm.
Turn on voice.
And was that before or after this?
After. That was last year, I think. It was someone's birthday party at someone's 50th birthday party at a tennis club. Actually, first and only concert that Shades in the Dark Room has done. Tennis, yeah.
That's tennis. Tennis for you.
Rhymes with penis. Tennis.
And so I imagine there's a live version of this song now covered by the Shades of the Dark Room.
Enemies Ahead?
Yeah.
No, but I was wanting to do a COD mobile version actually. And so was thinking about before COVID. There's a bunch of beats that our keyboard player, once he got his new keyboard a couple of years back, really took off with some of his. It's still songwriting. I do the lyrics, I do the vocals for my sins. Probably why that song there, the PUBG one, was so popular is because I'm not singing it. It's not my voice. It's sampled in game sound. So maybe that's telling me something.
Maybe.
But I mean, I when I was young, I never needed anyone. I wrote poetry.
That's the voice.
Yeah, I wanted to be a poet when I grew up, but I couldn't sing. I couldn't play an instrument. And my poetry started getting infected with melody. And I mean, you look at songs, some of them don't make great poems, right? But it is an interference to when you've got a melody in your head, but you're writing poetry that nobody can hear that melody. It's a really hard thing to get out. And when I met a girl who actually became my wife. She had a guitar that.
Your wife?
Yeah, my wife. Great success. And that's I picked up the guitar and learned 3 chords, and they were folk songs, but played in a punk style. And I started to teach myself how to write songs and sing. And then again, it's a big deal to share that with people because you can't sing and what the attitudes might be, but you've got something inside you that you want to get out and share. And then years later, I had an experience where I had a best friend at work. We're like brothers. We connected over music, and he was an actor type, and he kept talking about this band that he was in, but it was him and his friend Hugh, and they were starting to make music, and they were starting to actually get people saying, "Hey, come and play at our party," sort of thing. And I wrote. He had a girlfriend at the time, and things weren't going so well. And he told me about the experience, and I went away that night and wrote a song called "Crazy Girl, Get Out of My Head." It's just me on my guitar. I probably did it in 2 hours and output it and shared it with him the next day. And he was so blown away, he shared it immediately with his friend who had a recording studio in his house, actually. And we got together, and we actually became the first band I was in, which was Las Vegas Sexy Girls, which is named after, it used to be a strip club in Karingahiki Road in Auckland here. And my friend was walking home drunk one night, and that's the sign he saw. And he said, if I'm ever in a band, that's going to be the name of the band, Las Vegas Sexy Girls. So we were the Las Vegas Sexy Girls, and we recorded that song with my friend Clayton singing. He's not a singer, but he could get himself into an acting. Sorry? Clayton that Clayton, actually. I've written other songs about Clayton.
One of my favorite songs.
Yep. And that period of time when we worked together, probably 2 years, was one of my most prolific songwriting bits. And we wrote, there's another song, Pretty Blonde Terrorist, which even back in the day, we tried doing that one. But basically what happened is Crazy Girl got played on radio. And that was kind of cool. We had a plan. We were gonna do a gig at New Year's and stuff. But then my friend and his other friend, they had a bit of a falling out, and that was the end of the band. And where did that leave me? I suddenly had people that it took the pressure off. I could write a song, but I didn't have to sing it. I didn't have to worry about that inferiority feeling of not being able to sing my own song. The other guy was an amazing player, could pick up any instrument and make anything sound good, and I had a recording studio at home. So I could just write songs, give it to them, and they would make it cool, basically. And I'd had a taste of that, and all of a sudden it was gone. It's like, what do I do now? Well, there was a friend of mine, Chris, who I call Harmonica Dude, used to live around the corner from me, and we'd get together and play music, but I couldn't do covers. I was terrible at covers. I was embarrassed by them because I could never make them sound how they were meant to sound. But I could do my own stuff. So I started sharing with him, And he's an amazing harmonica player. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever heard, and it's a shame that he's sort of stopped coming to the band nights. But I went around to his place because he doesn't really answer his phone or do social media or any of that stuff.
You just
And
showed up.
I kidnapped him just before dinner one day, probably on the weekend. Said to his wife, "I'll bring him back in 2 hours," and I forced him to play on a couple of songs. One of them was called "The Final Countdown," though I hate that song, which is off our first album, and even with what little I knew about recording back then and latency issues and stuff, we still managed to come up with something that was pretty cool, pretty punky, and that's where it started. It's like if I can't have what I had, then I'll just have to do it myself, and I have to force myself to be the front man. And then I've just picked up friends as I've gone along. Picked up another guy who played bass with us for some years and recorded a couple of the albums. And to where we are now, we've got a keyboard player, Gerhard from Austria. We've got John on bass and sometimes guitar from the States, and we've got Alexei who's from Cuba. And then if Chris was here as well, he stopped earlier this year because of COVID.
Alexei, that's the guy on the congas.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, Russian name, Cuban guy, interesting guy.
KGB much?
Well, he did escape Cuba, so. But that's where we are. We're a bunch of friends, and I met them actually through my wife. All of them have children about the same age as my youngest. So some of them went to kindergarten together. Three of them did, and we've just built it up around that like that. So we've been having a unique experience to write songs together. Get together it was Thursday. It's now Wednesday nights. We used to be a beer drinking band. Now we're into wine, a bit more of the fine stuff, and we write music, and we get to share that when we actually get around to finishing the recordings and stuff.
Bougie ass. Yeah, you bougie
bourgeois
wine drinking.
Yeah.
Bougie ass wine drinking.
She'd been drinking tonight. She was in good spirits.
Well, yeah, literally, her liver was in spirits.
Pickled.
Soaking. Just going like, I can't. Yeah. And so, speaking of poetry, I think I found it. Because you used to do...
spoken word. That's how my YouTube got started, actually. Oh,
mysterious marks and dents from hit-and-run car parks and ghosts in my shed, like some suitably disfigured figure of speech fighting rush hour roadworks and drive-by debris. It used to be my friends. These sorts of things never happened to him, and he's Chinese.
Oh, the random shit that you just write.
At the end, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, a little poem about a car. He actually gave me that car, and it was in pristine, beautiful condition. He was proud of it. Didn't need it anymore, and it was a way of
Emerald green.
Yeah, and by time I traded it in, it was just covered in scratches and stuff. It was embarrassing, to be honest.
But you were pretty savvy at the time, I would say. You were talking about how, because the hit and run chase, that's 3 videos later. So this is 5 years ago, and you were talking about how, exporting the files, affected the quality, shitty ass text, audio problems. But you were savvy enough to blur out your license plate.
Yes, I taught myself how to do that specifically for that video, because after I recorded it, I realized, shit, there's the license plate, and you shouldn't share your personal information. In fact, anytime I'm vlogging at home, I'm very careful because there's road signs and stuff just outside our place. There's some recognizable cafes and stuff like that, and you always have to be aware of that stuff. Not that I'm a famous entity at all, but you need to be prepared for that.
Never know.
Well, as a former journalist, I always knew people were actually really easy to track down, and I was a journalist back in the days before the internet. That's how difficult you can imagine. And it's so easy to find out things now. You've got Google.
Like when they used paper.
And the fucking kids still won't use the internet to find stuff. Phone books, that was our biggest source of revealing things. I tracked down the head of the KKK in Australia at a time when he didn't want to be found. The Australian media were giving him shit. I tracked him down. I just stuck at the phone book for 2 days and just followed the little threads, found out that he was an antiques collector. Yeah.
You called everyone. I know what you did. You called every single man with the initial KKK.
I don't remember how I started, but I, at one point, through talking to someone, they suggested, I think he's a military antiques collector. Okay, how do I find out what organizations? And then these are New Zealand ones, not Australia. Australia's a whole different place. But you stick at it. If you're curious and you persevere, you will find things out. So you can imagine if I was still a journalist today with the internet, holy crap. But the point was, people didn't realize how easy it was to find them, to track them down, because at that stage they never wanted to not be found. It might be different now with the internet age where we're a bit more mindful of sharing stuff.
How
but
big was it? That's what she said. But how big was the KKK in? Did you go to Australia?
No. I got a front page lead. Why it was interesting? He was in Australia, and I don't remember what the reason why the New Zealand Herald. Sorry, I've just doxed myself, but I was a reporter at the country's biggest daily newspaper, and it was probably in its heyday. I think.
Again.
Yeah, and. But anyway, what made this a great story was we had a controversial politician here. He's of Maori descent, so indigenous blood, not your European. Well, he might actually be half. I don't know. Who knows these days? The point is, the head of the KKK in Australia made this comment about if he came to set up here in New Zealand, and maybe that's what it is. We'd heard they were checking out New Zealand sort of thing. He reckoned that this Winston Peters guy would be a supporter of the KKK, even though he wasn't white, because of some of the inflammatory things he was saying about Chinese and stuff to get votes at the time. It's very much, we all know politicians like that. They say things that later they turn out to be the foreign. Yeah, exactly, because this guy was a foreign minister and a trade minister dealing directly with China and stuff. So, but he was like that. But that was the comment, and so I rang up this politician who is a bit prickly, and I just put it to him, and then his response, "There's your lead story, basically. Boom, print it." It looked easy and stuff, but it was actually a lot of hard work to track that down. But it would have been much easier today.
Talk to the Australian KKK leader.
That was the guy. Yes, I spoke to him. I tracked him down. So he
said you talked to the politician.
I talked to both. Sorry, I tracked down the head of the KK in Australia. He was not talking to media at the time, and so remember, I was not in Australia. I did not doorstep him. Doorstepping is when you just turn up to their front door. Classic media move. Turn up with a cameraman, and then if they slam the door, you've got a photo of that happening or whatever, or a video. In TV, it's more important because you need footage.
You don't have to write. You can just be like...
Yeah, but I managed to, I don't know, charm him. It was before I was a skinhead.
Did you
seduce him?
I'm thinking you were like, oh, I heard you collect antique weapons.
Probably did, actually.
I have some. Is that something you might be interested in?
No, I just sold him the story. I have
a lot of white sheets that I don't need.
I'm not sure where to put the holes for the eyes. Can you help me out?
I was planning for the next Halloween. I was planning to dress up my entire family as ghosts, but we're not doing that. So maybe you could use. This is
the silly thing, because we did use dictaphones back then, even though I was trained in T-line. Once you have the easiest thing when someone doesn't like the story and people give them shit about it, they claim.
Dictaphone is not when you put your penis inside the phone. It's
I don't know what people do in the privacy of their own home. It could be both things. It's when you use your phone to record now, that would be the modern day equivalent. But back then it was on a cassette tape, and
mini cassettes.
I probably recorded it, and I'm just thinking now, damn, I wish I'd kept none of those interviews because it was no big deal. It was just there as insurance, because I'm interviewing you, you're telling me something, I write it in black and white, you freak out because everybody freaks out about it, and the first thing you do is you claim you were misquoted. So I had to cover myself there because that happened in a big way that was almost damaging to my reputation, and I was able to prove them wrong.
Shouldn't the newspaper have it, though? If you had to make sure that you had the raw material, the newspaper should have a copy.
Well, the newspaper should always be checking that their reporters are actually not fabricating shit, because that happened to a colleague of mine.
Do you think there is tape?
No, because there was no legal issue over this one. There was around something else where a lawyer criticized a judge. I was in court for it. It was around Indigenous fishing rights, and she did something that is bringing the profession into disrepute. So the Auckland District Law Society were trying to get her struck off as a lawyer, and so she immediately went for I was misquoted. The head of the Auckland District Law Society rang me up, and I said, nope, that's exactly what happened. She tried to say, oh, her client said that, not her. I said, yeah, her client did say that. She also said it. And so they were very interested. They wanted to interview me about that. And I'm like, hang on. I need to bring in my editor at this stage, because you're pushing it into an area that we probably wouldn't support. But I had already mentioned that I had audio tape evidence, so they were very interested in that. And my newspaper never gave it up. They just said, we've listened to it. We can verify that exactly what he said, and actually worse.
Source material, right?
She said worse. Yeah, she actually said worse about the judge. I edited it down, but it covered me. But they never got that. We weren't going to be supporting a witch hunt, basically, for another organisation. But it was enough just to say it's there. It's true.
So this clan leader, is he still alive?
I don't know. I'd have to look up if he is. No, he could be. He could be. I'm still alive. He wasn't like an old man or anything.
I think you are. Yeah, I think you're alive still.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, losing teeth by the year, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm about to as well.
Oh, no. Seriously? Is it a molar?
So I was in the Philippines 7 years ago, I think. I'm at liberty to, share that information now. I couldn't up until this point.
Yeah.
Security clearance and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I was there. It's just a tourist, just a normal guy. No worries. And I'm just joking. But I have to say why, because you don't know. You don't know why I'm saying this. It's because there was recently an article about a guy who he desperately wants to join the army here. And that was because we had conscription, so people usually would do the other thing. They were trying to get out.
Oh yeah, I know people like that.
But he's trying to get in, and he's doing all the things. He's training and everything. Thing is, his father's wife is from Russia. She lives in Norway. His father has moved to Russia for some reason. I don't know why. But that's why he's not allowed to join the army, because he has ties to another country.
Yes.
And one of the countries, obviously Russia is problematic. China, yes. But the Philippines is also on that list. And that's why I just mentioned that. But anyways, I was there. Dentists they're cheap.
Yeah, like Thailand, yeah.
And I just cheaper than Thailand, I imagine. And so I just went into this alley, and it looked mad suspect. But once I got through the door, it was it looks professional, weird. And so this guy he wouldn't stop talking, and he basically up to that point. I didn't have any cavities or anything before in my 30s. So, but at some point I fucked up, I guess. I think coffee and tobacco. And so...
Sugar and...
I'm
not brushing your teeth.
Into sugar, actually. But
flossing, do you floss?
Fizzy drink.
Yeah, fizzy drink.
Floss. I should probably floss more.
That's what my dentist asked. And it's like, damn, I wish I had.
I
bit
never
more.
flossed up until that point, actually. I did occasionally, but it's for someone like me, especially with ADHD, like dental care is one of the things where it doesn't matter how much brains you have. It's sort of a thing that takes up time. It's in the way of other stuff you want to do. You're always in a hurry, either to leave or to go to bed because you're desperately trying to sleep at reasonable hours. Because there's this thing where you don't get tired at the same hours as other people. So
Makes it very
you have
antisocial, yeah.
Yeah, you have and I was working nights at the time, which was, I don't know why I did that. That was, like now, it seems like, why would I do that? But at the time, I was like, I'll do that. But yeah, so I went to this guy, this dentist, and he, I don't know how many fillings I got, man. It was a bunch of them. He didn't have to pull any teeth.
Wow.
But there was not really cavities, but like beginning of cavities. And so what he did was he made a cavity and then he filled it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the right thing to do. But anyways, that's 7 years ago and or something. And that's the last time I went to the dentist. And I don't really have issues, like major issues with the teeth. But sometimes I have to suck food out of my teeth, or I can feel like, the icing. What you call that? We call that icing here.
Yeah.
Like it gets to like mad cold. And
Yeah, brain freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the teeth.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, that's what causes it. Yeah. The nerves.
Yeah.
I see dentistry as a little bit of a scam, the industry. So years ago, I did go to a dentist. I was having some pain in the tooth that I've now lost, and they had to drill it out. They drilled out the filling that was there, and there was a risk of nerve damage. And then they replaced all my mercury fillings. The ones that for our generation, that's what you got through the school dentistry side of things, and it's actually no big threat if you talk to
white stuff put in there. I don't know.
The mercury ones tended to be the silver lining ones.
Yeah, I didn't have it. Wasn't metal or gold or anything. He put some like this white.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they do these days.
Or something.
Yeah. That's the good stuff. It looks. You don't look like you got a mouthful of metal, but for our generation, and so they've got you there vulnerable, and they then make a plan to remove all your damn fillings and do it. So over a process of a year, I had all of that done and spent quite a bit of money, and then they're trying to sell you the fries with it. Oh, have you thought about doing some teeth whitening? No. Why would I do that? Oh, you wouldn't do that? No. Because they're trying to sell you these extra profits, because they're all renting space basically within the dentistry, and they have to bring in so many customers and getting that ongoing business. And so the only reason I went back lately is because that same tooth, and I did go back to her and say, I think the gums receded there. I think maybe the nerve is gone, and the tooth cracked while I was just eating a croissant at work. And that was pretty terrifying, to be honest, because you can't see it and it feels a lot worse. And it was some days before I could actually get to see the dentist. It's quite hard to get to see them when you need to. And he did a really good job, actually, of he pulled out the third of the tooth that was broken, and then he did an amazing patch job. And I reckon I could have just stopped there and done nothing else until he did a really good job. But he convinced me that the whole thing needed to come out. The nerve was dead. He was going, do you feel that? No. Do you feel that? What about that? Oh, yeah. And it's like, well, okay, that's the tooth next to the tooth that you've got a problem with. That tooth is dead. Wow. And because it was broken off below the gum line, so, you can get an abscess or whatever. But, yeah, it was just a process there. And, yeah, now I've got it's like a bit of me's missing, actually. I didn't think it would impact me quite like this. My dad's missing. He's got a tooth missing there as well.
You didn't put in put it in a necklace?
No, but I did. Audio podcast. But I'm going to show up to the camera now so you can see. Can you read that, or is it in reverse? I'll read it out for your listeners because they probably want to listen. Okay. Dear Tooth Fairy, this tooth is worth $575 at least. It was actually more like $1,500. Thank you. Dad. I left that for the Tooth Fairy. I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's kind of busy, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's kind of busy these days. It's probably why he didn't get you.
Well, it still would have been nice
Why
to
did
get.
you do that movie, do you think? Has to be just the money. That's just the money. Come on. Have you seen him in the fairy suit with the little wings?
Which one? I can think of two movies. One is
It's called Tooth Fairy, literally. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson as I think he actually plays like an FBI agent or something, and then he's caught up in this web of tooth fairies, and he has to.
No, I haven't seen it. I was thinking of the Hellboy one where they have the tooth fairies that go after your teeth. That's the one I was thinking of, which is like, yeah, that's pretty fitting. Or there was an animation with a bunch of like Santa Claus and stuff like that. They were like superheroes, basically fighting the darkness.
You think he might have been, put under duress of sorts?
The dress?
They forced him to do it.
You can't force The Rock to do
Dwayne
something.
The Rock Johnson. No, listen. Of course you can. You can force anybody to, if you have enough power and resources, you can make anybody do anything, pretty much. And so what I'm thinking is, if someone did that to him, he would never reveal it. That would ruin his, image.
To do the Tooth Fairy.
Like you said, when I said, do you think he was under duress? Somebody forced him to do it? And you were like, no, they could never force him to do it. He wants to maintain that image.
Is he a dad? Like, I know of some actors that have done films that are family friendly because they want something that their kids can watch.
I think it was a Taken situation.
Taken situation?
They took his kids
and forced him. No, he's probably proud of it. Like, this is it, I write songs. The subject matter of them is not appropriate for kids. They're either about fucking or depression. They're all love songs basically. There's not too many that you can.
There's one about stabbing a guy.
Yeah. Well, that was from the heart. There was a guy, Clayton Weatherston, who stabbed his girlfriend. It says in the song.
Clayton.
No, that was a different one. Not to be confused with my friend Clayton. This is a different guy. Although it ties in because one of the verses is my best friend Clayton wants to change his name to something that makes people not want to hate him. He had the name Clayton, and it was synonymous at the time with this guy who stabbed his girlfriend to death. Stabbed her, it was 148 times, I think it was, and we then had to watch the court case unfold because he pleaded not guilty. So he did it in front of her mother as well, had to go on the stand and all of this, and it played out in front of our eyes on TV and stuff, and as a society we were pretty fucking pissed off, and a natural response is to want to kill this guy. And so there it was. It's like, I mean, I could imagine someone wanting to do a crime to get inside the jail, and I've been inside actually, as got a bit of a history myself. As a police reporter and a justice prisons reporter, I've been inside the country's toughest prisons, and as well as the worst was the women's prison for a different reason, but we can get to that later.
New Zealand chopper. You don't have a motorbike. You have a push bike.
Yeah, that's the one.
On vans.
But it's not hard to fantasize about. Yeah, he's behind bars now. So the only way you can get to him is committing a crime, going inside, and then stabbing him basically a whole bunch of times more. And yeah.
Wow.
But the scariest prison was the women's prison, Auckland women's prison.
Do you have a lot of gun owners in New Zealand, like private gun owners?
I have a lot of farmers, so it's pretty normal for pest control to have a 22 or a shotgun. Not an AK fucking 47, but yep.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
I had a gun license, and then we had a mass murder. A guy in a small community down the line went crazy with an AK-47, an ex-military one that he'd converted, I think, into full auto, and pretty much wiped out his community, including the local policeman. And so that was the start of it. Yeah, Aramoana. Yep. Yep. I did not watch it because it was painful enough living through that as a society at the time that it happened. But it had an impact on, I'd just gotten my gun license. It was quite the process to go through it because there's psychological checks and then the police interview, people that you know, and it's quite a grilling interview there as well. So it's a lot to put people through. And then they brought in new procedures and stuff, which meant I'd moved from the country to the big city of what have we got? We've got almost 2 million people here, I think. So I didn't realize it was actually bigger than Oslo in terms of people.
At one point, we had more guns, per capita, per person, I guess, in Norway than they had per person in Texas at one point.
That makes sense though, because you've got the European connection with such humans. And
it was also a thing where, like you said, farmers. These are similarities that we have Norway and New Zealand, I guess.
Same concept with America, though, as to why that has been encouraged. You want to be able to call to arms.
You have more handguns, right?
Yeah, because there's
for protection.
Yeah. Well,
So
and more so these days, if you're going to have shootings and stuff like that, I get it.
But I think what happened was they realized how many people, especially after the war, because the Germans left a bunch of weapons behind, and so did the resistance, right? And so they realized there are a lot of unregistered guns out there. And I remember, because my grandfather, he had to register his guns. He didn't have a lot of guns. He had a rifle and a shotgun, basically. But at the time, like, some of these people, they show up with like a van, at the police station there.
Yeah.
And because their dad died or something, they just open the back of the van. It's just full of guns.
Like a brain gun and a
hundreds,
fully automatic light
guns.
machine gun.
This one guy showed up with a landmine,
Oh my! What?
No, he drove it to the police station. Didn't even know if it's live or not.
Oh my God!
You could have.
I get it.
Could have gone wrong so fast.
I get it though, because you had World War One, then you had World War Two. Who was to say there wasn't a World War Three? And I don't think they called it that back then, did they? But it was same players involved, and you're going to be prepared for that, aren't you? So normality becomes something different. So I get it.
Oh, did you know? Have you heard about the Hitler diaries?
Not sure.
Okay, so this one guy, he basically he specialized in forgery of Nazi memorabilia, especially things pertaining to Hitler. It's true. That was his living. Everything was fake. Paintings. He made fake paintings because Hitler was a painter.
Yeah.
But his biggest
not a good one.
Was, he made this diary, right? And so this German journalist for this big magazine, The Star, Stern magazine, he was big into the Nazis in a kind of a bad way. It turns out, like he bought, I think it was Goering's houseboat. He bought that. Like he had to sell his house and everything, and he bought that. And then he realized, shit, I spent all my money buying this thing and I have to pay rent, utilities and stuff. So he turned the boat into a museum. So he was filling it with Nazi stuff. And then he came across this diary, right? And they had it authenticated and everything. Turns out the experts, they used previous forgeries. Verify. So everything was made by the same guy. Right?
That's clever.
And it's a situation where the magazine has paid, millions for this. And so they want to believe. And people believe what they want to believe, right? So you have all these people, all these experts now confirming the lie. But then, they want to license it out to try and make some money back to America, right? So they have an expert look at it, and they found the mistakes and everything. But what I wanted to say, you said about the World War III, about the war not ending in 1945. This guy who bought this houseboat and bought this forgery, and this was like the way they tried to sell it to the Americans. This was at the time where Watergate was the biggest thing, right? And they actually said that this is bigger than Watergate. Here you have the daily thoughts of Adolf Hitler, for years. But the thing is, like, it says, nice weather today. Had a strudel for lunch.
That sounds like my dad's farming diaries.
Yeah, dog pooped inside. Have to fix that. Stuff like that.
That's what made it believable. It was so mundane.
Also, another thing was, that when they tried to assassinate Hitler, his right hand was damaged. How did he make a diary entry that day? With his right hand. And stuff like that. And also the fact that they found, I think it was plastic in the binders of the thing.
Yeah.
Which didn't even exist at the time.
At the time,
so,
yeah.
So they did get him. But the guy with the museum, the guy with the houseboat, he actually, I think it was Goering. It was Goering or Himmler, one of those guys. But he married this Nazi's daughter. And they lived in the houseboat together.
Himmler's houseboat, that has a ring to it.
I think that's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing thing to do after the war, even. And you're just like, yeah, I just love this stuff. I want to carry I want to contribute to carrying these genes, further.
Committed to the cause.
Right now. It's the closest I can get to these guys.
Well, I mean, Gerhard is, I'm pretty sure I didn't say he was German. He's Austrian. So, yeah, he's
Hitler.
Yes. Well, when I first met Gerhard, we were talking about famous Austrians, and he went through, of course, the composers. And I was just like, interesting. You seem to be missing out one pretty big famous Austrian. And there's just this awkward pause. He said, I thought you New Zealanders didn't know about that. But then he was Austrian. It's like, yeah, we know about that. But he did not do military service, and for his punishment, he had to work in a nursing home, a rest home, for I think it was a year. And because those what do you call it, the patients or the residents, they knew that he was shirking on his military duties, so they treated him like shit. But the number of old Nazis that were in that place and the way that they treated him, he's just like, wow, that's where they basically went to die. And he said the woman were the worst. To get them back, he would do things like to put toenail clippings in their cereal and all of that. But they would deliberately shit the bed and lie in it, and because he had to clean not only the bed but them. And he, yelling at him to, come clean this up, and it's just like, so yeah.
So there was that. So that's what you were talking about.
Rest home for Nazis. Yeah, that's the title of the podcast right there.
Toenail clippings and poop. That was the third war. You managed to bring poop into this.
Oh yeah.
From sperm to urine to poop. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The circle of life is
Nazi
complete.
Poop.
Yeah.
Nazi poop.
That had to be in Hitler's diary. Took a big dump. Been backlogged for a few days.
Just imagine, I don't think he had time to write the diary.
It sounds like my dad's diary. Growing up, I always remember him sitting down very seriously writing at the end of the day. And I said, hey, did you keep that stuff, Because it'd be amazing if, you pull out the year that I was born or when I was born and we just look what's there. And he's like, Nah, all he would do, he'd record the rainfall and the weather, like the real basics of it's almost like business type stuff. But that's what even to this day, my parents are still fascinated by that. They ring up and tell us how much rain there's been and stuff, and I'm like, I to this day don't know how. I know that they used a weather a gauge to that was part of the ritual as well. They'd go out and measure it and write it down, and it still means nothing to me. It's like, okay, Dad, or Mum or Dad, I still can't visualize how much rain that is. Is that good or bad? Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good dumping of rain for if it's a month's worth of rain in a day. Okay, I get that. But yeah, when you tell me it's X amount of millimeters, even with milliliters growing up, it meant nothing. But yeah, that's what I think about when you're telling me about Hitler's diaries. It's like it's believable because it's mundane. It's just like, if you're not journaling, then it tends to be pretty pedestrian, right? Pedestrian thoughts, hissing thoughts.
I just have this visual of you finally getting your hands on this trove of family history that you think you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And you find the diary where
day of birth.
Born. You're finally like, okay, so my first steps should be here somewhere. And then that was like 8 millimeters of rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Milk, and then milk was bad. Have to tell wife. And in parentheses, son took his first steps.
Yeah, exactly.
like a footnote. Oh, by the way.
It's just son.
Had a child.
Son, comma, steps, full stop. Yeah, not even in a full sentence, just like a list.
4 sentences about the rain and wind, and then also had a child, wife still at hospital.
Son threw gumboot through the glass door.
Enjoying the silence. Just being like that. Wow.
But yeah, just to think of him there, diligently working away every day, writing in his diary. Oh, what a great example.
Your dad, because I've watched your your vlogs and stuff, so I've seen him. So I have a sort of hunch about the guy, a feeling. I know kind of what kind of guy he is from that. An impression, I guess you call it. And I think he can be hilarious.
Oh yeah.
He seems to me like this. He spends his time walking around observing and saving material until he feels like now's the right moment, and he will catch you off guard, and just you don't have a choice. You have to laugh. Is that true?
He has a weird sense of humor. I didn't realize how much of a introvert he was until I started doing these little family stories for my vlog, just trying to capture those stories. That's actually how my YouTube started. Even though that was those were the first videos, I was actually doing it because when I moved to Auckland, when that big drought was on, I moved to live with my grandmother, and she died within the first, I'm going to say 6 months, but it was probably 6 months. And I was actually sick at the time. I pretty much got glandular fever immediately upon landing there. I turned up sick, essentially. And then she died. But I got this dictaphone. I was going to be a journalist. And my mum said, hey, try and capture those stories, but in a way that it was sort of on the sly, whereas it would have been better to actually just say to my grandmother, hey, I'm going to just interview you and test out this thing. So let's have a conversation.
And that's what you did, right?
Yeah. Instead, it was I hit it, and it had a function that would stop recording when you stopped talking, and that was not the greatest function. So it was in the same way that video you were sharing before to your listeners was a terrible quality video. This was a terrible audio tape, but I had something that was family history. It was her voice. Her phone rings at some point, which is an old-fashioned dial phone, and everybody would recognize that. And I needed to share that because I was the owner of this treasure, and it's like, what can I do here? Let's try and Casey Neistat it. Let's tell a story around it. I'm a storyteller, and I'm learning some techniques. I'm watching some vloggers and stuff. This is what I'll do. And it started with this thought: how do I share this? Do I share it through Dropbox wasn't a thing there, but how am I going to share this thing so that people can see it? And I decided to turn it into a video, and it took me so long to put together, and just the techniques involved and writing a script as well. But that was me learning how to put it together, a video story. But in the meantime, I realized, this opportunity came along, and it's reaction to this thing that happened, which is very unusual. And so I put that out there, and then it's like, well, I was still doing poetry at the time, and maybe, these hissing thoughts can be, sharing some of that. And that's the same damn dad voice on those. I hate listening to those poems because they're terrible. The way the poems aren't terrible, the way they're delivered. And my wife had been trying to kindly tell me for some time that it was terrible. But it was interesting.
Terrible.
It is as a voiceover. It's not a voiceover, but it's a delivery. It's the poet's voice. That's what you think of, and it's shit.
He's Chinese.
Yeah. But that was me teaching myself, and even though I don't do poetry anymore, that was a big part of who I was back then, and telling these quirky little pedestrian snippets of life that people could relate to. The shorter the better. The small poems take the longest time. I think you're trying to. In fact, we've got a song coming out which is called "When I'm Dead or When I'm Gone." And I wrote it originally when I was in the United Kingdom, and it wasn't a song. It was, what do you call them, stanzas? Let's say 5 verses long, 6 verses or stanzas, and then that's the whole thing, I think. But the actual bits, the bits that you'd call a verse if it was a song, it's this verse and chorus sort of thing. It was much longer. And there was a poetry competition here that the Auckland Library ran, and I entered it. And what I did was I took the poem and I cut it down to the last verse. And I entered that, just that, and I didn't win, but I was a finalist. They got me in there to deliver it, and I took my family, which was a bit smaller at the time, and they got to see their dad and husband deliver this thing. It was, and when I delivered the last line, there was actually a gasp from someone in the audience where it's like, holy shit, that was a connection. And they used it. They published this little chapbook type thing, which is still in the library. I think you can still get it out, but it's the final poem because it's a goodbye poem. Basically, it's a perfect way to end. And so I've actually turned that into a song now. And I, until the last weekend, didn't realize I still had the rest of the poem. It was pretty shit, but I couldn't just do a song based on one verse. The others were saying, "Hey, just repeat it; that'll be fine." But no, I had to come up with something else. What I came up with is almost very similar to how it started, and it's like that's pretty cool. It's like this poem that took on a life of its own, which is me working with our bass player one night because we were the only two that were present, and he wanted to do sort of a certain type of song, and we tried that and it didn't work, and I tried something else, and then I just this poem started going over. It's like, holy shit! And
that's kind of interesting about the poem and how it turned into a song, and but I'm still trying to understand how that explains how much of an introvert your father is.
Well, I'm an introvert.
That's where you started
as well.
And
yeah,
you recorded your grandmother.
Yes. Yeah, because of the family stories. So that I learned these things about my father because obviously, you grow up with him, you don't always see what's there, and he's someone that does bottle up his thoughts sometimes, his annoyances. He doesn't. I'm someone that lets it out. People know if I'm angry.
He's a farmer.
I don't know if it's that. It's a part of who he is, and he is someone that people would think he's just lovely. Like he's really calm and relaxed and stuff. But he is someone that will bottle that shit up, and it will come out at some point, and he'll be angry, and it makes it worse because when he is angry, people think he's being funny. They laugh at him, which makes it worse because they don't realize he's being serious. So it makes it worse. But for him to he's running a campground now, and that's a big deal because you got to put yourself out there, and that's part of who I was as well. Some people think I'm an extrovert sometimes, and we do these work psychology tests and stuff, and I'm an ambivert, but I'm only at 51%. What that means is I've learned coping mechanisms that have enabled me to function essentially. And I know when I first started at the company I'm at now 18 years ago, and even back to when I was in the UK, I used like shock humor to put people off guard. That was me trying to be funny, but it was a defense mechanism. It was to just put them at ease so that I could gain forcing myself. And journalism helped with that as well. Actually, you've got to interview the Prime Minister. That sort of stuff. You just
You did that?
Yeah. And I even had one Prime Minister think I was a detective. He turned up to a police station and there wasn't meant to be media there, but I had such a good relationship with the police station and the program that they were being recognised for. They invited me along, and so they arranged for him to sit down with me afterwards, and he thought he was sitting down with a detective, that I was a young detective, because that's kind of how I dressed. I modelled myself because it would open doors sometimes if people thought I was a police officer. Sometimes that works in your favour.
You're not presenting yourself as a police officer.
You dress this ring here. Police detectives have a ring because when it hits, it does more damage. It's those little things. I had the ring before that. It's just, these are your nunchucks. These are your knuckle dusters, basically. We're going to jump all around the place, but I did get into a fight outside my house in the UK once where a guy assaulted me, left a handprint on his face, and I was pretty relaxed about it. But he came in and I caught him with this hand first. And I wasn't wearing this ring that day. This is well, you listeners can't sing it, but it's a big signet ring that my parents got me for my 21st birthday. It's got a diamond in the middle, and that would make quite a bit of damage. It was my wedding ring that broke his nose when he came in to attack me another time, and it was the ring that caught him basically and did the damage. And it's like, all right, I'm never going to take that ring off, because I could have ended it with one punch instead with my right hand than my left hand. I remember some of my first journalism jobs, you're basically forced to go out onto the street and talk to people, just not make shit up, find stories out of the mundane, do vox pops. That's when you just ask people questions and stuff. That's a terrifying experience for an introvert, but it's good for you because it forces you out of that bubble. And to where I am now, where I've been involved in community collaborations and all that sort of stuff and running it, and I could never have done that if I was.
That's different because you might be at 51%. I'm at 53 personally.
Yeah.
So a lot of people find me extroverted as well.
Yeah.
But one of the worst things for me is when I'm in an introvert state, and obligations puts me at extroverted.
Absolutely.
And then you just have to deal with the feeling of being trapped somewhere you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And everything is just overload. It's just too much.
Yeah. You get exhausted extremely easily. Yeah.
So when you do collaborations, like you said, online, like you've done a bunch of them, probably not going into that right now, but you've done a bunch of them with a lot of people from a lot of places. But you do that on your own time.
Yes, I controlled it.
And then that's different.
Yeah.
That's very different. Yep. Also, even though, YouTubers, like PewDiePie, he's an introvert, self-declared, proclaimed introvert.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being out there with a bunch of people. But when you make a video, even if 10 million people sees it, they're not right in front of you.
No.
It's very different.
Ricky Gervais is the same. Would rather stay home with his wife, and his animals.
Does he have animals?
Yeah, he does.
Should he have animals? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
He's definitely got cats.
It would be nice to see him, like, occasionally, maybe, I don't know, put on a Hawaii shirt or something. He's always wearing the
leather jacket,
the V-neck.
Yes,
it's like black V-neck, black jeans.
My favorite TV series of all time, Afterlife.
I think maybe he thinks he's Steve Jobs or something.
Yeah,
maybe he's like, yeah.
I think he's so successful that he can not give a shit, basically. What a great position to be in, like just to refuse work.
It's what you call fuck you money.
Yeah. No obligation. It's a hard thing.
Like if you had that, you could just be like, you know what? I'm tired of all these, crazy drivers when I do my bicycle commute. And so you would just buy like a tank.
Or a Batmobile. I dreamed of
tank and you
tunnels under the city. Like Batman.
You buy a tank and you have a driver driving the tank, and on top of the tank you have this what you call those
the turret.
bicycles? No, those bicycles, ergometer. What do you call those? The
What?
bicycles, the spinner bikes from.
Yeah, the
You put one of those on
exercycles
top.
is what we call them. Yeah.
Yeah, exercycles. You put that on top. You have another guy driving the tank, you know, and obviously you don't have grenades, but you have like softballs that you can shoot to sort of clear the way. And whenever if somebody acts out, you're just like, pull over.
That's right. Do your duty.
Yeah, and then it's like, "Phoop," back of the head, pull over.
I'm sorry, I've just had flashbacks to me and the OG Fox doing tank missions in COD Mobile. Him and me riding around in a tank, basically.
Oh yeah, I was meaning to watch that. That's the one you said, trying to find a tank.
Yeah, man's search for tank. Yeah. Man's search for reason.
Check that out.
I did know a guy that used to carry, I think it was golf balls on his bike to chuck at motorists that offended him.
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's asking for trouble. There's a lot of, in the same way that there's a lot of angry drivers, there's a lot of angry cyclists out there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Since I started running, I've noticed that I have more confrontations in my life, even in these days, with the whole pandemic situation. Because where I live up in the hills, and a lot of the time you only have pavement on one side of the road because these are old roads that are like climbing, like the mountain roads in The Shining.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a lot of room. And cars are still driving.
Yep.
When you're running, you're kind of vulnerable to traffic.
You've just given me flashbacks to, I keep forgetting New Zealand's in a really privileged position at the moment, but that was our history several months ago where I felt that as well, just walking the dog around the block. To start with, no cars, that's great, but when the cars came back and you're now having to get on the side of the road to avoid someone here, it was horrible.
And so I'm running, and I was running uphill, this long-ass hill. And I found that, for me, when I run, it's all about the pace. I have to keep the same pace
the rhythm.
uphill.
Yeah.
Yes. So I keep the same pace.
Got the music going.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I used to. Now I actually listen to podcasts.
Oh, what's your favorite podcast other than this one?
The last podcast on the left.
Hissing Thoughts. Yep, I've heard of it on Anchor.
No, that guy is a copycat. Tried to steal my thunder. I would listen to that, but you don't do it anymore. So
No. I stopped doing a lot of stuff that I should be doing.
I don't know. You should be doing what enriches your life, make you feel like
I should be finishing off an album.
Yeah,
of music.
Be completing. That's what I'm doing right now. I've been talking about putting up a schedule, doing these things, for weeks. But now I'm actually trying to do it in a way that ensures that I will have some staying power. But what I was saying was, that I will be able to implement a schedule that I can actually follow.
Yeah. So you got a system going.
Uphill. Yeah. I was running uphill, right? And two people are running next to each other, which is fine. They might be lovers. They might be, in some sort of entanglement. So it's okay. But they don't move as I'm approaching them. They don't move. And in my mind, I'm like, one of you has to move. Because if I have to move, that means going from the, outer of the pavement to out into the road, past the vehicles. All you have to do is follow each other, make space.
Mm-hmm.
End up running into the guy.
Oof.
I don't yield. And I was just looking at him. He's looking at me. He doesn't stop. And he just, you know how they do in the movies, they do this.
Yeah.
The bullies at school.
The shoulder tap.
And I'm running uphill, right?
Shoulder barge.
But the way I run when I run uphill, I shift my weight, so I'm leaning forward. Yeah, so he tripped. But he had the advantage. Like, I could have easily just fallen over. And to my left, there's this hill. So if I had gone, there's a railing, but it's at knee level for me because I'm a fucking giant.
Yes, you are.
A giant of sexy moistness. And then, so I'm running up there. He bumps into me. If I had fallen there, I would go tumbling down, and it's like, I don't know, 70 degrees angle. I would have gone through all this rubble that are there, all the old tree stumps and stuff, and into the trees. If I'm lucky, I go into the trees and stop. This guy. But I can't do anything about it because I have to keep my pace. Just keep going. That's how committed I am to my cause.
You don't stop moving to that funky beat.
No. I think it was, they were talking about, I think it was H.H. Holmes, the guy who built this murder hotel situation.
Yeah.
So that was my beat. But yeah, people might do that, and running, it's a very egotistical kind of thing. It's ego. It's just you, it's all about you when you run.
Yeah, well, it implies an arrogance there.
Mm-hmm. And I can feel it as well. I feel like, oh, today weather is nice. If this wasn't a weekday, because I'm going for my run later on. If this wasn't a weekday, people will be out walking. And it's so crowded because I live near the woods and the trails are so crowded. And, usually, because you know how here we drive on the right side of the road, you usually walk on the left.
The wrong side of the road, yeah.
But on the trails, people do whatever. There's no rules. And the bicycles, there's actually traffic.
Really?
It's actually a problem because there's not a consistent rule. And I think it was a week ago, I was just like, no, I'm not running today. I just aborted it. And I went to the store and I bought beef because I was angry. And I had a 400-gram steak. And then I went running in the night. And only then I realized
your angry food.
The trail I thought would be lit because I was running through the lit trail. And then I get into the woods, no lights. So I was literally running in the dark for and I can't see the ground and it's full of holes. But it was beautiful because it's covered in these tall trees, on the sides of the road. And then if this hadn't happened previously that day, that I had to stop running, give it up, I wouldn't be running in the night and I wouldn't be seeing that blue-hued, starlit sky.
Shades in a dark park. Yep.
It's not a park. It's the wild, right there. 2-minute walk. I mean the.
What is it
forest.
though? Like, is it government owned or like a national park? So we have national parks that you would not. They're not like a park you'd think about. They're the wild, but it's a national park. It's owned by someone.
It's sort of like that. It's there are no houses, no buildings.
Yeah.
But there are trails.
Yeah.
And most of these dirt roads are not intended for vehicles. Some are used for vehicles, connecting to farms and whatnot. But it's mostly for skiing in the winter and, running or hiking in the summer for those who can't use the trails that are in the woods, following footsteps of animals and people from generations. And
back to the first of your ancestors and their discovery of fire.
Oh yeah, I think they would have been wowed a little by your size, your ancestors. But they would also be very disappointed in your skills.
Oh, yeah.
because your current life skills wouldn't be.
I think you don't have to go back to your ancestors. You just have to go back to your parents and your grandparents, the ones that are
Less.
older within your own time frame, and to imagine what they think of you. You know, I feel
obviously, unless you brought, a cheese slicer with you, that will fall at your feet. But listen, my guy, this has been amazing.
Yes.
But I'm worried about you.
Yes.
Because it's past 11.
It is past 11.
It's actually any second now. It will be 11 minutes past 11. Happy Singles Day.
Oh.
Chinese marketing.
Oh, yeah.
People got upset of, they got tired of Valentine's. They made the Singles Day. And so that came to Norway this year.
Wow.
It's finally 11/11. Everybody was like, what? And then it's on the news.
Happy Singles Day.
Big, yeah. But it's so, I don't know. It feels redundant. Next week, it's Black Friday. But Black Friday is not just the Friday. It's the whole fucking week. We got Black Week.
Hashtag marketing.
They matter, I guess. The weeks. And you get deals.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to my podcast. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends and family.
We got a comedian over here.
It really helps the channel grow.
Yeah, that's right. I hope we can do this again. And
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we scratched some surfaces, and who knows what kind of bodily fluids would come from here.
Yeah.
Dr. Pimple.
Got to watch out for those elephant seals.
Yes.
And their enormous testicles.
They're basically...
Especially if they're running through the streets of Oslo.
Elephant seals, if you think about it, elephant seals, they kind of look like an elongated ball sack with teeth in front.
There we go.
That's something for your nightmares right there. Being chased by just a giant ball sack with teeth coming at you in 60 kilometers an hour.
Some people might like the thought.
Some people might. And if they do, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not naming names.
But my wife. Yeah. Yeah, but this was great.
Yes, it was.
And I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes.
And I'm just going to, what we're going to do, we're going to take this, Scoob did this.
And then what are we not supposed to do?
He made this thing.
The roar you hear is 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 the roar you hear the roar you hear the roar you hear is
Go back and do your duty, kid.
People in this country, the roar you hear is the sound of hope.
You know what the fuck you did.
There you go.
Just off the top of my dome there. You can use that if you want.
I feel like I know you better now.
Alrighty, man. Let's call it there.
Yeah, I'm going around.
Thank you all for joining in. And he had to go pee. Kakiti? Ah, no.
If you guys don't mind listening to it.